Hello, we're back. All right, so this is like my third or fourth attempt to start this video. Every manner of thing has been going wrong. All right, let's try this again. I did show you, well, I tried to show you before everything went to chaos, and the light is looking a little different. I had it set up, and then it fell down, and then the cat was very concerned, and it was this whole thing. I'm trying to see if I can whatever, it is what it is. Okay, so the new book arrived today, which, if God in his mercy will get us through the rest of this book, then hopefully, I think this book is going to take us 3 weeks in total to get through. That's what I'm estimating, because we're 6 days in, and we are about a third of the way through. So, okay. Now, the next book we are going to read, and please stay with me. Please don't abandon me, okay? Please trust me in my choice, okay? Because let me tell you, this woman is just as crazy as the current book, okay? But, crazy like a fox. No, I'm joking. She's kind of wild. But, I mean, right now, I retain a strange affection for her, and that is Sarah, the Duchess of York. Okay. Now, there's a lot of scandal currently going on right now because Prince Andrew was named in the lawsuit with Virginia. Is it Giffray? Oh, I gotta look this up. I'm so bad with names. As being one of her, SA-ers. So, of course, he's like, oh, I didn't even know her. And then the picture comes out where he's clearly got his slimy arm wrapped around a teenage girl, and he's like, I don't know, 40-something. Spare me. God. Anyway, so there's a lot of scandal happening right now in regards to that. And I guess there was some talk of his titles being stripped and all this, but I guess they actually weren't stripped. Let me see if I can adjust this. So I'm sorry, close up. I guess they weren't actually stripped. It's just he's not supposed to use them. Oh, all right. Anyway, I don't remember what I said, but I said a lot more in the previous video. And then I was telling you how I was in the drive-thru at McDonald's, and I was like, do I need a facelift? Just a little. Of course, I can't afford one. This is just me imagining. I could just do a little, just a little, And then I told you that I would never, because I want the children to know that, you're enough as you are. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, I was trying to flip through this chapter to see how long it's going to be. This light is driving me crazy. I'm so sorry for the light quality. It's driving me nuts. But it's what we have. So we're just going to deal with it because I am so tired. All I want is to sleep. Okay. In fact, I almost did. I was like, you know what? I won't do it today. And then I'm like, you know what? No, I will do it today. So here we are. Oh, guys. It rained outside, so I've got the puffy hair. Okay. This chapter. Oh, okay. It's not too long. Okay, we're going to do 2, and then we get a poem. And then, okay, let's start it. It's called The Justification Factory. Once more, I must be careful here in the telling of our story. I do not wish to pathologize my relationship with Rayya any more than I wish to idealize it. I am not merely a walking dysfunction. Nobody is. I am also a wonderful person, kind, generous, big-hearted, and enthusiastic. and quick to celebrate and uplift my friends. I love to share, I love to give, and I love to be of service to other people's dreams and talents. Well, I'm so confused because you just spent chapters before telling me how this was pathological and how it was so bad and it was just you searching for love. Like, I mean, I even started worrying about myself. Like, uh-oh, why am I a giving person? Like, am I just, searching? So, which is it? Help me out. Okay. I love to be of service to other people's dreams and talents. And Rayya was a wonderful person too. Vivid, courageous, loving, funny, and loyal. Our love for each other was sincere, and it was marked by dysfunction and manipulation. As in many relationships, our shining attributes and our character defects were on display at the same time. Yes, I had initially been drawn to rescue Rayya when she became lost and in need of help, because I am deeply attracted to people who are lost and in need of help. But then she turned around and offered me something that nobody else had ever been able to provide. She gave me a profound sense of emotional security, while also modeling an admirable spirit of compassion and tolerance towards those who were suffering and struggling through life. She fortified my spine while softening my heart. I liked the person I became when I was around her. I was more courageous and more kind when Rayya was in the room. Maybe that's what true love does for us. It betters us. Well, I should hope so. Like, no, maybe true love makes us worse. Like, oh, jeepers. Okay, then what is the point? I mean, I think that is the point, right? Like, that's what we're all hoping for from, like, true love, is that it makes you better and it strengthens you and, gives you qualities that you didn't have before, that you kind of can share the best of yourself, your qualities, and the other person does the same. Okay. Moreover, she seemed to do all this effortlessly, even joyfully, while also being mindful not to take too much from me in return, at least not in the beginning. So I submit that I loved Rayya Elias dearly, and that I had good reason to love her. But I am also a love addict, which complicates matters somewhat. Actually, it complicates matters considerably. A friend of mine who is familiar with both my messy relationship history and my recent recovery journey asked me the other day, so where is the line exactly between regular love and love addiction? To which I could only reply, I've got bad news for you, buddy. Nobody really knows. Well, that's bullshit to me. Because if nobody knows, then how do you draw a definitive line to say, okay, this is an addiction? And you can't qualify it if you can't quantify it. Okay. Sorry. It's the same with all addictions. When does a regular drinker become a heavy drinker? Maybe when you're drinking heavily. And when does a heavy drinker become a problem drinker? And when does a problem drinker become an alcoholic? Oh, well, gee, I don't know. Maybe when you cross the point to where, you can't function without, having headaches and the shakes. This is nonsensical. Like, please be with me here. Please. Do you see how nonsensical this is? It's like, well, how do we know? What's a regular drinker? Well, a regular drinker. And does she mean someone who uses alcohol in a normal way or someone who drinks regularly? Okay? We say like a regular drinker is probably someone who has a glass of wine every day when they come home. You're drinking regularly. Doesn't mean you're getting drunk. Okay, so then when does a regular drinker become a heavy drinker? Well, maybe when it's a bottle of wine to yourself. I would consider that heavy drinking. Personally. I mean, I think there may be a sliding scale, but I'm pretty sure that all this has been quantified. So for her to be like, how do we know? Like, well, then AA would have a hard time being in business if we couldn't quantify it. What makes an alcoholic? I just don't know. Okay. Anyway, it's often impossible to know exactly when, how, and why these escalations occur. In the rooms of recovery, it is called the invisible line, that shady moment when complete dependency sets in, and the addict is no longer capable of living a manageable or dignified life. The invisibility of that line is a large part of the reason that identifying and treating addiction is so difficult. It's also why addicts of all varieties are so masterful at denying that they have a problem in the first place, and why they are so good at gaslighting and deceiving their loved ones. But if I had to define the difference between regular love and love addiction, I would say that it has to do with the level of intensity, with the sense of urgency, dependency, and desperation that grows day by day until it becomes an obsession, trailing behind it a wreckage of lies, destruction, and self-abandonment. And once that hungry ghost is awakened, it can never really be sated. The complicated truth, then, is that I fell in love with Rayya for a set of very understandable reasons, but over time I came to love her with the famished lunacy of a true addict. But that only happened because I had a secret operating system based in fear and need that was running in the background of all our interactions, governing my decision-making from the most shadowy recesses of my mind, and pushing me in directions that were unsafe, unethical, and dishonest. Okay, I can understand on some level the secret operating system based in fear and need that was running in the background of all our interactions. Okay, I can kind of understand that, because if you've been through certain types of things, then me personally, this is something that I struggle with. So I don't think I'm a love addict because I've never I don't ever feel the urge to cheat on my partner or okay, who's the next? I don't ever think anything like that. But I am definitely an anxiously attached person, because if you have lost certain things or people in your life, it sort of trains you that once you love someone or care for someone, that they're going to be taken from you. So for example, this is a whole story time in itself. Would you like a story time sometime? Would you like videos that aren't just books? Would you like story times? You tell me. Okay. So I will not give too much away in case we do a story time, but there was this guy that I was very close with, and he passed away very unexpectedly on a holiday weekend. Okay. And I had just been talking to him a few days before, and then I had called him and there was no answer, and my calls were going straight to voicemail. And I was asking him questions hey, what about this? And then he just wasn't responding. And then one of my best friends called me and she's like, have you heard from so-and-so? Trying to gauge, and I'm like, no, I haven't. It's so weird. And she was like, okay. She's like, honey, he died. And I was like, what? And after that, I struggle. If I'm in a relationship, it's not just that someone could be hurt and die. It's that they could just leave. How quickly that can happen and how unexpectedly. So I understand operating from a place of fear, and it's something that I am trying to work on myself and in my own relationship with my boyfriend. I am trying to work on that so hard because, it's not fun to be in a relationship with someone who's always, nervous that you're going to leave or nervous that you're not going to love them. And then it's your whole life becomes about that person and everything. Sometimes my boyfriend's like, do you do things that you like to do? Or do you just bake me cookies? And I'm like, don't you want one? I baked him cookies today even. Oh my God. Okay. But so like I do understand that when you are an anxiously attached, like sometimes I'm like, am I like a love addict too? But because the way that she describes some of the emotions, I'm like, but like I said, I've never like wanted to hop from person to person or been like, love me, love me. Like, but I do understand loving from a place of fear and trying to overcompensate by giving a lot because thinking like, okay, that secures the bag, basically, like, okay, now they're never going to leave me because I am irreplaceable. Because that's definitely something that I've noticed that I do. I'm sorry that I keep playing with my hair. I'm so tired and it's just kind of keeping me going right now. Okay. So yeah, so I understand that. That was that we went all the way around Robin Hood's barn just for me to say, I get that. All right. Okay. Running in the background of all our interactions, governing, pardon me, my decisions and decision making from the most shadowy recesses of my mind and pushing me in directions that were unsafe, unethical, and dishonest. And as it turns out, so did she. I will never know exactly when Rayya started drinking. Oh no. I have no way of knowing. She never gave a straight answer about it to anybody. Her story about alcohol changed depending upon whom she was talking to, but I now understand that she was drinking in secret long, long before she did it in public. But let me see if I can piece together some information here based on what I do know. Rayya moved into my church in 2008. After I invited her to stay for another 9 months, she did indeed begin working on a memoir, which was all about her miraculous recovery from substance addiction. She struggled with the focus required for writing, but she kept at it, and I poured encouragement and guidance into her whenever I could. She was determined, she told me, to finish at least one creative project in her life that she could be proud of, no matter how difficult. But by the end of that 9-month period, she was still not quite finished with the memoir, and I still couldn't bear to let her go. We worked out an arrangement where she would pay me just enough each month to cover utilities so she could officially move into the church and settle down. My relief was immense. Rayya was staying. I would be safe forever. We became closer by the day. She called me whenever she was in trouble, just as I called her when I was in trouble. But it wasn't only problem solving that brought us together. It was also delight in each other's company. Very soon, Rayya became my +1 for social events and professional engagements. Like, where is this woman's husband? Like, this woman became your +1 to all of your events? Like, where was your husband? And was he not like, well, you don't want to invite me? Like, I can never go. I just find that crazy. I mean, sure, like, I would take my best friend to some, and I would want to take, like, if I was married, I would want to take my man with me to other things. Like, I mean, I know she had more feelings. Like, it wasn't just her best friend. Like, it was a ruin. But I just find it kind of crazy. That's wild. That's like, I just find that so brazen. Okay, she flew to London to do my hair and makeup for the British premiere of the Eat, Pray, Love movie. Oh, now I want to look that up and see what she looked like. Hold on. Okay. I don't know if this is going to show it up. Okay, look. There she is. That's her at the Eat, Pray, Love premiere in London. And that's Rayya's work. So, now we know. Okay. All right, flew her with her, blah, blah, blah. And she also walked the red carpet with me. I will never forget Rayya making Julia Roberts laugh uproariously when she said to her mid-hug, "Dude, you smell so fucking good right now." We went to Mexico together, to Detroit, to Los Angeles, to Austin, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Miami. We went to the movies, to weddings, to Target, to McDonald's, to Thanksgiving, to the DMV, to Beyonce concerts, to karaoke, to the Jersey Shore. We met Oprah together. We tried on bras together, shopped for shoes together, ate Korean barbecue together, made tacos together, watched football games together, got Botox together. I'm like, maybe I need me a little bit of Botox. We were almost always out there in public now as Rayya and Liz, and people were growing accustomed to that pairing. You might wonder how this impacted my marriage, but I, using my excellent compartmentalization skills, convinced myself that there was absolutely no problem here. The way I saw it, I now had a platonic partner who... That's a weird word. Like, that's a weird way to put it. My platonic partner. Like, you just say, my best friend. Platonic partner who enjoyed attending the sorts of social events that my husband disliked, and who also helped to stabilize my mental health. If you looked at it through a certain lens while peeking through the cracks between the fingers of the hands you were holding over your face, it could be seen as a win for everyone. And though Rayya and I never crossed any obvious boundaries, never flirted with each other, never got physical with each other, I can see now that we were living in a state of shared denial about what was actually happening here. And what was actually happening here was that I was steadily moving my love and loyalty away from one person and toward another, just as surely as I were moving a valuable set of silverware from one home to another, one spoon at a time, while nobody was looking, all the while pretending that I was not doing that. Okay, so this is interesting because, so Elizabeth Gilbert must be bisexual, and I don't know if she knew this like before this whole interaction, but what she says here is that she is steadily moving her loyalty and her love and all that away. I don't know where I'm looking. Okay. So that is something that my father always said. He's like, I will never have a female friend. He's like, and okay, now this might sound extreme, but he's like, I will never be telling a woman about the inner parts of myself because that is for your mother. He's like, your mother is the only woman that I am going to tell my whole heart to. Because my dad really believes that when you start to share your heart too much with someone and you start to develop that emotional intimacy, like that's when the doors start opening and you start to like get like, what? And I agree with that. Like that's how I feel. Like if I was married, the only man that I would be sharing like certain parts of my thought life and my heart with would be my husband. And there certainly wouldn't be like a male friend that I would be telling stuff to that my husband didn't know first. That's just the way it is. So like you can see how she like acknowledges that she was creating this intimacy, this emotional intimacy with this person. And through that, she was all of her loyalty, like she said, like that's a very good example. It's like moving furniture from one house to another. Like you are building something. And in order to build this thing, you are actively taking away, you're stealing from this home to create this home. And that is actually just a very, very powerful way to describe it and to look at it, because that's exactly what's happening. You're destroying one home. You are like pilfering one home to furnish the other. Eek. All right. Meanwhile, Rayya continued to date other women. I tried to be supportive about her romantic endeavors because of course she deserved to have someone in her life who loved her, someone who was available. But if I am honest, I can see that these women never really had a chance with Rayya, no matter how great they were. And often they were great because Rayya herself was not available. She had already imprinted her heart upon me, just as I had imprinted my heart upon her. And she would often come home from her dates and say to me and our friends, she was nice enough, but she's not Liz. Okay, let me tell you, my best friend's a lesbian. And if she was going on dates, which she does, but if she went on a date and then came home and was like, she was great, but she's just not Shannon, I'd be like, what are you on about? Like, what are you talking about, woman? Okay, look, that's where I'm supposed to be looking. I keep on looking over here. Okay. I'd be like, and all our friends, not just me, but all our friends would be like, well, obviously, you're darn right. Okay, it's not so weird that she would say it to Liz, because they obviously had feelings for each other, but it's weird that she would say it, I guess is my point, to other people in their social circle, and that these people wouldn't be like, what do you mean? Like, are you into Liz? Like, everyone's just like, yeah. Sometimes it's like Elizabeth Gilbert is selling me this reality where everyone around her was just in sweet, sweet oblivion. I don't know. I would be asking questions, but okay. Maybe that's just me. But I don't think so. Okay. But she's just not Liz. But you can't expect anybody to deliver that level of intimacy on a first date, I would protest, while secretly, shamefully rejoicing. You and I have been friends for a decade and a half, Rayya. Okay, I can't figure out this timeline. Okay. For a decade and a half, Rayya. Look how long it took us to reach this level of closeness. You need to give people a chance. But can't we just clone you instead so I can have one of you? She would say. Wouldn't that be easier for everyone? And everyone would laugh and act like this was a completely normal thing to say. I wouldn't. I'd be like, what's going on? This is unhinged. Okay. Still, not everyone liked the Rayya and Liz show. Like maybe your husband. An old friend of Rayya's told me years later how sometimes she would be on the phone with Rayya in the middle of an intimate conversation, and suddenly Rayya would say, I gotta go, Liz is on the other line. And she would hop right off and not call back for days. Another old friend of Rayya's said to her at the time, it's like you've divided your friends into two categories. You've got your A-list friends, which is only Liz. And then you've got your B-list friends, which is everyone else. That's right, said Rayya with her characteristic straightforwardness, and don't ever expect it to be any different. And one day an old friend of mine was talking to an acquaintance about some event that I attended with Rayya Elias, and the acquaintance said, who's Rayya Elias? Without thinking, my friend replied, she's the love of Liz's life. So everyone knew, but nobody knew. Oh, come on. Nobody? Really? In this vast social network that you have, no one had their suspicions? I'd highly doubt that. People aren't that mental. I am so sorry. People aren't that just out to lunch that you'd literally take this woman everywhere across the world with you. And you're both sitting there at dinner with all your cronies being like, oh, if only I could just clone you and be with you. Wouldn't that be better? And everyone's like, I didn't see it coming. I don't know. That's crazy. Okay. Because that's what secret lies create. Wild, hallucinogenic distortions of reality. Speaking of distortions of reality, I would guess that it was probably sometime in 2011 that I started noticing that the love of my life always carried a bottle of, I don't know this word, Angostura bitters, help, around with her, hidden in her purse. Maybe you are familiar with this concoction. Maybe not. Bitters are a staple of every bar, a potent proprietary blend of herbs, spices, and alcohol that, when added to certain cocktails, both deepens and brightens. What? Both deepens and brightens the flavor profile? That is wild. Bitters deliver such an intense taste sensation that you don't need much of the stuff, just a dash. But Rayya wasn't using the bitters to brighten up a cocktail because she didn't drink cocktails because she was sober. And she wasn't adding a few drops to some non-alcoholic beverage either, as sometimes people do. No, she was just straight up drinking the stuff. So have any of you had bitters before? Like straight? Can you shed some light on what it's like and if it's awful? Oh, guys, I gotta stop touching my hair, but it's driving me crazy. Okay. Drinking this stuff before, during, and after every meal. What? On the rocks, often downing an entire bottle at a time. And these bitters have an alcohol content of 44.7%. What? I just don't understand how she, wouldn't die. Am I naive? I'm probably naive because I don't drink, so I have no idea. Okay. Which is equivalent to most vodkas, whiskeys, rums, and tequilas. Now, I know this doesn't make sense that somebody who claimed to be sober was also drinking every day, but that's what Rayya was doing. She was doing this, mind you, while she was still telling her story of sobriety at 12-step meetings, including Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And also writing a memoir about her victory over substance addiction. Now, this is so brutal. I just wish that she wasn't telling us this stuff because, okay, think about it. Rayya said, I want to create something once in my life. She did it. It was published. And now Liz comes along and she's like, FYI, while she was writing this memoir, she was drunk the whole time. I'm telling you, if that happened to the love of my life, I would take that to the grave. Nothing, wild horses could not drag that out of me. I would be like, what's it matter now? I just feel like she just won't let Rayya have any sort of dignity in death. She's got to dig up all the stuff and let every skeleton out of the closet. I don't know. I only know how I would deal with it, and this is not how I would deal with it. Because, be like, well, it's her story. It's really none of our business as well. We don't have to know everything, right? Okay. Soon, the bottle of bitters started showing up everywhere, not only in her purse, but also in her suitcase, in the fridge, on the kitchen shelves, right next to her box of cereal, in the glove compartment of her car. She even kept bottles of bitters, multiple bottles, at her friends' houses for when she came over to visit. We all kept finding them in the weirdest places for years after she died. Really? She always had to check her luggage when we flew because she wouldn't go anywhere without a significant stash of those magical little bottles. I never questioned any of this. Because I never questioned anything Rayya did back then, because I essentially saw Rayya as a godlike figure who was always right about everything. Nevertheless, she did tell me once that a doctor had prescribed the bitters to her to help her digest her food and to take the edge off her chronic stomach pain. Now, I don't know what that doctor actually said because I wasn't there. I do know a few things, though. I know that a few years later, Rayya would also tell me that a doctor had prescribed cocaine to her. Don't worry, we'll get to that story eventually. So she may not have been a reliable narrator on such matters, but I also know that Angostura is what's commonly called a digestive, which is exactly what it sounds like, something that helps with digestion. The mixture, in fact, was created in 1824 by the German Surgeon General of Simon Bolivar's army. Probably butchered that. Yeah. Who prescribed it to his troops in Venezuela to ease their stomach problems. These bitters, in other words, were indeed once used medicinally. Then again, so was cocaine. I also know that Rayya suffered from chronic stomach pain, which was probably a result of the gastrointestinal mayhem that can arise from long-term opioid dependency. That pain was also exacerbated by her hepatitis C and by the fact that she ate like a 10-year-old at a birthday party pretty much every day. Oh, to be able to do that. Let me tell you. All right, so I went on this like stupid crash diet, which like, please do not become disordered. Like, please, like, can we just talk about everything? Let's just talk. Okay. So I'm in this play and my castmate was like, I was saying like, oh my God, like I need to lose a couple pounds. Like, let me tell you, like I have gained 50 pounds over the past 2 years and I can't take it anymore. It's driving me nuts. So she's like, oh girl, like I know all the tricks. Like, she's a gorgeous, curvy woman. And she's like, I know how to like get snatched real quick. And I'm like, okay, this is wild. So tell me your ways. And she's like, all right, so you're going to want to do something called the IU diet. I'm like, okay. It's like, or the K-pop diet, I think she called it. Anyway, I looked it up. It's called the IU diet. So this is what you're supposed to do on it. Okay, for breakfast, you have a protein shake. Okay, fine. I can get on board with that. For lunch, you have an apple. And then for dinner, you have a sweet potato. There's some variations that say you have 2 sweet potatoes. And that's it. Are you kidding me? So I don't do that. I did the protein shake and I always add a banana because I hate the taste of protein powder. Then I fry up like 2 eggs and I slice a bunch of tomatoes and have like a bunch of veggies and yeah. And then for dinner, I do have like a really big sweet potato, but then I put some, like those tunas that you get and they are in the sauce. And I do like tuna and then like I'll have like some salad. Yeah. So all that to say, I would love to eat like a 10-year-old at a birthday party right now. When I went through McDonald's tonight, with the fam, and everyone was ordering, and then it came my turn, and I was like, and that's everything. I was like, okay, I'm going to go home and be sad about it, because I'm going to smell everyone's French fries. Anyway, so I locked myself in my room, and I'm reading this instead. Okay. In fact, Rayya, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Rayya inhabited a body that was always suffering in one way or another. She had persistent back pain, joint pain, headaches. Her legs, which had been broken once in childhood, and again in a brutal beating by drug dealers on the street, oh my God, constantly ached. She had arthritis in her hips and shoulders, feet and hands. In other words, this person who always appeared to be completely comfortable in her own skin literally never was. And given what we know now about how our bodies keep the score, I think it's fair to surmise that her extreme physical pain was also the legacy of deep and unhealed trauma. Whatever the cause, I knew that Rayya vomited frequently, almost daily, and her stomach was almost always bothered her. So I'm sure the bitters did help to relieve her physical distress, maybe her emotional pain as well. Anything with 44.7% alcohol is bound to take the edge off. Yeah, no kidding. But I also have trouble believing that any reputable doctor would recommend the daily imbibing of alcoholic beverages to a patient who not only was an addict in recovery, but also suffered from an incurable and potentially fatal liver disease. It just took me about 1 minute of Googling to find a study by the World Journal of Clinical Cases saying that no safe level of alcohol intake has been established for patients with cases of HCV, hepatitis C. Drinking with an HCV-infected liver has been categorically proven to increase viral replication, weaken the immune system, increase oxidative stress, and lead to higher rates of fatal cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma, more commonly known as liver cancer, which is, in the end, what killed my beloved friend. There she goes again. My friend. Like, was it like, what, my partner, my love of my life? Like, I don't know. It's just strange. My friend. There were some people in Rayya's life who had more piercing questions about the omnipresent bottles of bitters than did I. They'd say, wait, aren't you sober? Are you really supposed to be drinking that stuff? It's just herbs, she would say, for my digestion. But it's got alcohol in it, they might protest. And here's where things began to get shady, because multiple times over the years, more times than I can count, I watched Rayya blink in amazement and then say with convincing sincerity, really? It does? Oh gosh, I didn't know that. I even remember someone once showing Rayya the label of the bottle and pointing to the spot that read 44.7 alcohol volume. To which Rayya responded, wow, I can't even read that without my glasses. Girl, you're wildin'. Okay. Once I even heard her say to someone, bitters aren't really the same as regular alcohol. It's like burnt alcohol. His reply, I don't know, Ray. I'm pretty sure 44.7% alcohol means 44.7% alcohol. Looking back on this now, I have trouble making sense of how I made sense of this extreme cognitive dissonance. Let me tell you, there's like all those memes that go around that are about like toxic men, and they're like, if a woman loves you enough, you don't have to lie to her, she'll lie to herself. Sad but true. And it goes the other way too. Like, for men, you know, I've seen men just be with just the worst, the most vile women, and they just are so in love with them, and they just can't see the forest for the trees. They're like, oh, she's so great. And I'm like, sir, you are in prison. Like, you need to run for your life. Like, get out while you can. Anyway, and, you know, we're all like this. This is one of just the most human things, is that when you love someone, you just, all the red flags, all the gut feelings, everything that's, you know, bothering you, you just let it go, because you just love them so much. You just can't even see it. All right. Where was I? So anyway, my point is, you'll lie to yourself. You'll find a way to make it make sense. All right. I was watching an allegedly sober person drink every day without admitting that she was drinking, and right in front of my eyes. I was also watching the single most honest person I had ever met pretending again and again that she didn't know her alcoholic drink had alcohol in it. But here's where my disease comes in, because I somehow made all this okay. I overlooked it rather than looking it over. I had to overlook it. My fear and need-addled brain could not handle a reality in which Rayya had any weakness or character flaws whatsoever, because she had become my place of safety. Rayya was trustworthiness to me, embodied in human form, and I could not let go of that. I had to keep living in a storyline where Rayya was the soul of all integrity, or else my terror of the world would come back, and I could not bear to have my terror of the world come back. It is truly remarkable. Guys, it's late. It's really late. It is truly incredible what you cannot see, when you cannot hear, My friends, it is past 1 a.m. where I am, and I am so tired. Okay. It is truly incredible what you cannot see when you cannot bear to see it. Please understand, I'm not judging Rayya here. I don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to judging anyone else's elaborate coping mechanisms, pain evasion tricks, or dependency concealment strategies. Only look at the secrets I was keeping during those same years. It's more that I'm marveling over the complex and intricate justification factory that is the addict's mind in action, as evidenced both in Rayya and in me. But it does bear noting that for more than a decade before Rayya started carrying bottles of alcohol around with her everywhere, she had been attending 12-step recovery meetings in programs that were tailored to both alcoholics and drug addicts. And while her attendance in the rooms of recovery had become increasingly sporadic over the years, she surely must have remembered the warnings that were constantly offered in those rooms, that alcohol is just as serious as just as serious a drug as any narcotic, that addicts cannot use any intoxicating substances without running the risk of relapse, that full sobriety is a necessity for recovery, and that thinking of alcohol as being different from other drugs has caused many addicts to return to lives of active addiction. Addiction. Yes, I can't stop adding and subtracting. Okay. Guys, I think we're not going to get through 2 chapters tonight because I need to sleep. Over the years, Rayya must have heard those warnings being read and discussed hundreds, if not thousands of times. So she knew, yet she stuck with her position. Not only was alcohol different, but bitters were not alcohol. So it was all cool, as you can clearly see. It was all totally cool. Okay, that's 45 minutes. Oh, I am so sorry. I am really not with it. Okay, so, oh man, it just looks like we haven't even made a dent. But we will. We're slowly climbing the mountain, and thank you for staying with me, but I am so excited to get to move on to this because you know what? This is just what we need. This is like a nice little read, and she's just going to be talking about what it's like to grow up rich in England and to have a dysfunctional family and then to marry a prince who turns out to be a complete lunatic. And that will just be juicy and gossipy, and I think it'll be really, really fun. So, thank you so much for being with me. I hope you had a fabulous day, and I hope, I don't know what I hope. I just, I hope we could all get some sleep, okay? I'll see you soon.